Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Disc Swap. We're up to the second episode. In case you missed it, 2 weeks ago we kind of piloted this new endeavor in MGSR, and we're back with it this week. Going to be talking some SGDQ submissions with a special guest. But Raichu, how are you doing this morning?
I'm fine actually. I've had no PC troubles this time around. Everything's gone more or less smoothly. I have a slight cough, but otherwise I'm fine.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, aside from the cough, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
No, it's great. I'm so happy you've got a cough right now, dude.
And we've stepped up our production game, and we've pulled a producer from the midst of our staff with iridescence. So this is good. This is all sorts of good.
Yeah. Big shout outs to Iridescence for making himself available for this.
Even if it is like 2 a.m. his time.
Well, what a trooper. But yeah, like I said, we have a guest today.
I wonder if he's going to introduce himself.
We've got Mr. Tyler himself, Tyler 2022, the 2022 experience. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. Didn't get too much sleep, but I'm hanging through with it.
Hey,
it's going good.
So,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're all a bit tired here. It's fine. Everything's fine.
It should be anyway. It should be fine.
So, yeah. So we have a full lineup of things to talk about in terms of
jam-packed.
In terms of SGDQ submissions. But Tyler, since you're the guest here today, why don't we talk a little bit about what happened a few months ago at AGDQ?
Okay, so for the AGDQ run, I was very thankful to be chosen for that specific marathon, and not only that, but I was on day one and prime time North America time, so it was like late night Sunday. It was like about like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So being on that time slot put a lot of pressure on me, and I performed better than I thought I would have performed, and I was quite satisfied with the run. And the whole rest of the week that I was there, it was pretty much just hang out with a bunch of the MGSR buds, meet a lot of new people, play a bunch of games, and it was just a really fun experience overall. And I'm glad I got to spend that week with all those wonderful people.
Yeah, that was a great run and a very fun week. Yeah, attending AGDQ was one thing, and then running must have been an entire different thing.
Yeah, so the ultimate plan that I had set months prior was that, I was going to go to this one regardless, because I had attempted to go to the past, I believe, 2 GDQs, and I had failed. I'm just like, you know what? A lot of my speed friends are probably going to go there, so I'm just going to go there just to hang out. And if I get in, cool. And if not, then no big deal. But then find out that, like actually going as a runner just made that whole experience even better, just to be part of that big project and raising all that money for a charity. And of course, showing off more Metal Gear games to the world. So,
and not only was it Tyler's first GDQ experience, it was also his first time actually running at GDQ, which was, I imagine, quite exciting as well. You get to meet all your MGSR friends IRL and play your favorite game.
The only thing that I was kind of worried about was actually playing stage and like performing, but the way that they had it set up is that the actual like playing area is like so far separated from the crowd. Like you can turn back and like you can see the crowd, but like the feeling of like being up there just feels like it's just another normal run. Like you're just there with a couple guys, because I mean you have the couch and then you have the like production crew all around you, so it didn't feel like a huge marathon, which was good because that kind of settled my nerves down a little bit. So that was very good.
I mean, I know I've ran in some marathons, nothing to that extent. I mean, I think the biggest one was Shots Fired, and I mean they pull in a couple of hundred people at a time, and when you look at the Twitch count and you see 400, 500, 600 people are watching it, those kind of, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, kind of, it's almost terrifying. But I mean, doing that, knowing in the back of your mind that there's tens of thousands of people plus the crowd behind you, you have every right to be nervous. And I mean, despite those nerves, you performed incredibly well. I mean, you pulled off a lot of pretty difficult strats. I mean, a lot of the MGSR guys who weren't at GDQ were in a voice channel, and I mean, there was a ton of, oh my god, what has he just done? Like, wow, is he crazy and stuff? Like, I can't believe he just did that. And I think that kind of more or less started in deck 2 when you did like the hold up strat on the first guard. I remember Jag being like, wow.
Yeah, and I was practicing that for the previous months. And the like funny thing that you mentioned that is that I was only choosing to do a couple of things selectively safe, and I was going to try and take everything as fast as I possibly could. And my only 2 continues in the run, one was the Harrier, and the other one was the Tengu 1. The one for the Harrier, the Kasaka got in the way, and I needed to adjust. And
that's just Harrier.
Yeah, and I did not adjust, and I just died. And the Tengu 1, I believe I had mistimed my sun throw, which was just
it's unfortunate. I mean, it does happen.
It's a simple mistake. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's like impossible to make that mistake, but I mean, going through that with only 2 continues, I was fairly happy because like my main goal was get past tanker without a continue, and then I started getting all the way past bomb disposal. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, getting past bomb disposal, and then it took it all the way to the Harrier, and that was like,
yeah. I mean, you were big boss right up until, and I mean, if it hadn't been for the damn Kasaka, which is something that nobody can help, that's just, it happens. You could have carried Big Boss up to Tengu, and
that
maybe even after Tengu, who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's also funny to think that you picked up MGS2 on the back of Jaguar King's GDQ run.
Correct. Yes.
And brought that full circle to your own AGDQ run,
Yeah, that was kind of nice as well. Yeah, like just like bringing that back over, because I had watched Jags Metal Gear Solid 2 run, and before this I was looking at like speed running. I was watching Gunner Maniac, and I was watching Headstrong 1290, and I was like, okay, maybe I want to look at speed running. So I looked at Jack 1, and I looked at Pokemon, and then I watched GDQ, and then I saw Jaguar King. I'm like, oh, MGS2, I love this game. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. And I saw like what he was doing. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I want to try this. And I just took off, and that was, what, 2.5 years ago or so? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah. Jag ran in 2016.
Oh, yeah, so it would have been like start of 2017, because I believe he did... Wait, was it SGDQ 2016 or AGDQ 20...
AGDQ.
Yeah.
2017 or 2016?
2016, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, though, yeah.
a little back.
It's been a couple of years. I think it actually might have been 2017. Sure, sorry. I'm actually just going to quickly check.
I honestly can't remember the exact date, but a quick behind the scenes is that Jag and I actually submitted MGS2 European Upstream on the same year, and like he kind of came out of nowhere, because at that point he wasn't even on leaderboards. I didn't know of him, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then he got the spot because he was the faster of the 2 of us, and I got put on backup, and unfortunately I couldn't even make it out to that event anyway, so it turned out for the better. But yeah, no, that was, he did a great job with the run, and then Tyler last a couple months ago blasted it. It was a hell of a run, and to be sitting there on the couch, that was something else entirely.
Yeah, and like for like the entire couch, I wanted it to be people who have played the game before, or they were very well known through the MGSR community. So that's why I had hand selected Python, Plywood, and Mini, because all 3 of them they run the game to some certain extent, and they all have a lot of knowledge about the game in general. So that way, we can spread a lot of information. Like we can try to deliver the best commentary that we can. So that was my couch filled with all MGS2 people, essentially, besides Mini. I mean, he's done like 1 run of MGS2, but he still knows a lot about the game.
Yeah, I mean, Mini. Let's talk about Mini here for a sec. Mini is probably the biggest repository of knowledge of the entire series,
Sheesh, yeah.
from like MG1, MSX, all the way down to MGS5, Phantom Pain. Dude knows a lot.
And that comes from the fact that Mini is the one true verifier for the whole boards.
Yeah, the super mod. Yes,
The only constant. It's kind of funny because the only singular constant between every board from Metal Gear MSX right up to MGS5 is Mini is a super mod. So he's taken on board a lot of work, and he does an incredible job. And I mean, when you're verifying runs a lot, almost every day, pretty much, you do soon become very familiar with the games. But Mini and I think Strafe would probably be one of the two biggest knowledge repositories, as you say. I mean, Strafe is just. I don't think Strafe. I don't think there's anyone who knows as much as Strafe does when it comes to all of them at once. But no, Mini he's a great guy, and he obviously ran at GDQ.
Oh yes,
well. Yeah, another good run as well.
Big Boss MSX 2.
And he got Big Boss too, didn't he?
Yeah, near flawless.
Yeah, which is just incredible. Like really,
a lot of things like just fell into place. Like his run was very smooth.
But yeah, to kind of bring it back towards MGS2 for a quick sec, something we actually forgot to bring up last episode. Yes. Credits freeze. Sorry. PC. Credits freeze for PC is done. It's deadzo. VFans has updated his V's fix for the PC version, and something he did fixed the issue.
I believe he was saying that it was a green screen fix that fixed it. So that was like a cinematic fix because there was a problem for the tanker holds for the projectors where it would just be a green screen, and that. So like fixing that also fixed credit freeze because he just recently joined the Discord and he started talking about fixing the credit freeze, and he says that kind of spawned from the green screen fix.
Yeah, so it was basically the problem running the game on modern PCs were codec issues, like video codec issues, not the nanomachine codecs. And there were a couple of fixes he had on the GitHub page, like get the K-Lite codec pack, stuff like that. But it either didn't work for people or it was too complicated to get it up and running. So I suppose I have to assume what he managed to do was combine that into his fix with because I mean, there's one thing that you can't say is that guy is not dedicated. He is.
Oh yeah, he puts a lot of time. I believe the next update is going to have support for Steam controller.
Yeah, stuff like
wow.
Who use a Steam controller?
I mean, it started off with just a quick controller fix, and it basically there was a lot of little fixes for the PC version that were scattered across the internet in different places. There's an official patch from Konami, and other little bits here and there, but controller support was non-existent, and playing it on a keyboard is a nightmare. So he managed to kind of round up all these fixes, stick them into one launcher, so it's a new fancy launcher that you can change settings with much greater ease, because if you've ever played it on the default launcher, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Not a great experience.
So really, like, VFans he's indirectly helped the MGSR community quite a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of freezes.
And now he's in the Discord and he's directly helping us.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was only actually talking with him yesterday, and I'd mentioned, there'd be some he was talking about changing the textures to more like HD collection textures, and I'd mentioned that's cool, but I also kind of pointed out that speedrunners wouldn't really care about that because we're not going to stop and look at the textures. But of course, Vive didn't do this for us. He just did it for the casual players, for people like himself.
The general audience, the general audience.
And it's just kind of come with that lovely side effect that he's managed to fix it for us too. So And it's great to have him here because if ever something should go wrong, or we're unsure about something, he's right there in the Discord. Just ping him in the MGS2 channel, ask him, DM him, whatever. And it's nice that we have him here because for people who play on, because obviously playing MGS2 on PC is just the simplest way to get up and running if you want to run the game.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
don't need a capture card. You don't need a console. You just need a half decent PC or laptop. I think even as
Yeah, most computers can run it because the game's from 2002 or 2003, and like most computers can actually run that just fine.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice that way. But obviously it's a huge pain. I never had the problem, but I know Iridescence and Apache really had the problem with freezing, and like to do a run and have a really nice run and then have it killed by something you can't help. It's like, damn. It's like, what do you do when that happens, you know? So having it fixed, and I mean, obviously, like I said, he's added a lot of controller support. You can now use Xbox or PS4 controller.
Yep.
And if you wanted to, you can use Steam controller. I don't know why you'd want to do that though, but okay, I guess. But yeah, no, V is basically MGS2 fixer, man. He's an MGS2 wizard, effectively. It's great.
Sure is.
So that's not all of the MGS2 news we've got, actually.
You mean there's more?
There's
What?
MGS2 is apparently very, very hot right now, but then again, it usually kind of is with MGSR. Like in terms of like the popular speed runs, it kind of fluctuates between MGS1 and MGS3 and MGS4 or whatnot. But MGS2 is a constant, and in this case, it's really no exception. So MGS2 will be appearing in a few marathons here in the next few weeks and months. I was notified that Apache actually next week from today, Apache Smash will be running very easy MGS2 over at UKSG. For those who don't know, that's United Kingdom Speedrun Gathering. He will be running that at 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time.
Oh, great time slot. Nice.
Yeah, and that should be a very, very, very fun watch. Apache is a solid runner for very easy. He's been kind of grinding that down alongside Mac and Tyler and everyone else in that scene.
Yeah, he's very consistent, and he pretty much just jumped into very easy. And I mean, he hasn't strayed far. I mean, he's gone to normal, but very easy is his thing. And I believe right now he's at least top 4, maybe top 5. So yeah, very good runner. Can't wait to see his run at UKSG.
Yep. So that's at UKSG. Again, again, that is next week, next Saturday. As well as Iridescence mentioning in chat, Pixels for Peace, and I believe Spawn Point is a local event for him. He'll be running MGS2 at both of those.
Spawn Point is a video game bar, exactly. Which we have none of over here. It's really sad. They have them over in England though.
We have a couple over here.
I know they're really popular in Japan, but anyway, we're draining off topic.
And Raichu, you'll also be running at Pixels for Peace, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Well, I better be, because like, I mean, I'm staff over there, so I want to be able to be running.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing MGS3. I have down Euro Extreme, but if I'm not consistent enough with it, come the time, I'll just do normal. So either way, it'll be MGS3. So Iridescence is before me, and then I'm directly after Iridescence, so it's set up pretty nice that way.
Nice.
And I feel like there's somebody else doing something soon that I just can't remember.
Muse?
Well, there is also Hootfest. I don't think there's any.
Glenn.
Yes,
Glenn is in MGS1.
Yeah, and Metal Gear Solid 1 at Hootfest.
Any percent PC Extreme, I believe.
Yep.
And Glenn is getting really good at MGS1 PC, dude.
He's been grinding it pretty heavily.
Yeah, he's been getting pretty crazy. And yeah, obviously Python just mentioned Mies. He'll be running MGS1 today in a couple of hours. MGS1 any% easy on this very channel right here, live.
Live.
I don't think there is. I know Tyler is waiting on news about a marathon, but it's not MGS. I think it's our guys. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's a fighting game marathon, and in about 4 hours, I'm going to find out. The only other thing that I'm looking into is DreamHack Dallas, because for last year's DreamHack in Austin, they had a little speedrunning portion of it, and I decided not to do it because I was busy at the time. So I'm going to try and see if DreamHack Dallas is going to have that and try and put Metal Gear Solid 2 back on there, because going there for a fighting game tournament and speedrunning would be like a dream come true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I have heard mentioned that there will be another speedrunning setup there.
Nice. All right, then I'll definitely look into that.
But
so we've got a jam-packed couple of marathons and what have you.
Yeah,
not to speak of course.
Yeah, this show is all about the marathons because we're coming up on the main event of the day here. SGDQ submissions ended last Wednesday, and we have kind of combed through the list a little bit. 1,500 submissions, and we have a small selection of things we would like to see and things we would not like to see that we can go through here. So,
and just actually quickly before we move on here, I'll say what Roy has just typed in chat in case there's somebody just listening in and not paying attention to the chat. If you're a part of the MGSR community and featuring a run at an event, just let Roy know and he can add you to the website in the upcoming events. So that'll be pretty nice for you. Kind of signal boosts your run. So I guess we'll add Apache and what have you to that as well. But if ever you're a part of something, just let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. Just being a part of the community is good enough. I don't know if there's stipulations like has to be a Metal Gear runner. We'll see. Anyway, I'll let Python.
So, Raichu, what is like I said, we've each got a kind of a list here, but Raichu, why don't we start with one of yours? What's a run that you're looking forward to here for SGDQ submissions?
Splinter Cell, Pandora tomorrow. Really quite excited to see that because I've been paying a bit more attention to that scene lately, and I think it's Nerd Squared who's doing Pandora tomorrow. And I don't know, they're so bloody cool.
Oh
God, I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, never mentioned Splinter Cell in this realm ever.
Yeah, Splinter Cell. I've seen one of the speed runs for I believe it was the first game, and it's fairly interesting. It's kind of close knit to like a Metal Gear kind of run, where
there's a lot more run and gun though. It depends. I think. From what I've seen, it's a lot. You see, the thing with MGS, it's kind of cool because you can like run your way through the game more or less without ever like causing an alert or whatever. But seems a little harder to do on Splinter Cell. I don't think it tends to happen as often. But then again, I'm not 100% familiar with it either. But it would be pretty cool to see, I must say.
And another one that is kind of close to the stealth action genre, I also saw a Siphon Filter submission, which would be interesting, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if GDQ is ready for the taser. So, Tyler, what about you? What do you got that you like?
Let me sit through my list here. I'm gonna go with a little bit more of a popular choice here, and that's Pokemon Red/Blue. No Experience by Keyzron. I honestly don't know too much about it, except for that I believe there's a hack to where you don't gain experience. So I'm interested to see what that has in store. That just sounds interesting and something different because, running these Pokemon games over and over again, like recently they had a race between Pokeguy and Gunner Maniac for Pokemon Gold, and I guess they're trying to just try something a little bit different. So now they're going to try this no experience run.
To be honest,
I'm not. With that.
When you said no experience run, the first thing I thought was, but he has never played the game before.
Oh, yeah, Keyzron's never run Pokemon. He's just going to go up there like,
I have no experience.
I have
more ways than one.
No idea what I'm doing.
That would be oh God, that would be a flipping disaster. But it would be an entertaining disaster. So Python, I think we'll take one of yours.
Sure. This one may come as some surprise to some of you guys, but I am a huge fan of Destiny and Destiny 2. And wouldn't you know it, this year there's a submission for Destiny 2: The Last Wish. I don't know, I can't remember exactly who's all on the list, but there are 6 people who are down to do this run at GDQ. And I kind of doubt that it'll actually happen, but it looks like a lot of fun, and I'm very interested to see what kind of goes into a raid speedrun.
That
And like,
does sound interesting.
Yeah.
Because I
Now-
love Destiny.
now here's the thing though. GDQ very, very commonly says the most they can do is 4 people on screen. Now, of course they can still do that with 2 people missing from the stream, but at the same time, like, because of that limitation, I'm not sure they'll take it.
Yeah, I kind of really hope they do now, because like Destiny, I know Destiny gets a lot of shit for what it is. It's like a console MMO, like what a stupid idea, but I really like it.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't. People hate it. Well, I know it's on PC or Essence, but I mean, World of Warcraft isn't on PS4. If you know, like, being on console, it got a ton of crap from people. Like, oh, what the hell is this? It's so stupid. But I think it's really cool. I don't like how it keeps costing me money, but I am quite fond of the game as a whole. Like, I don't know, I just love it.
Yeah, so Destiny 2 Last Wish raid, that's something I'm looking forward to seeing if it happens. So Raichu, back to you.
Oh, we're back to me.
Yeah, let's just go around in the circle.
That's fine. Dark Souls, because I don't know how well known it is that I love Dark Souls. All of them, they're all great. Not so much Dark Souls 2, but
Most people can agree with that.
yeah, it's kind of crap. Is it? I actually missed the Dark Souls run last year because I didn't realize it was on. I didn't realize it got in. I was like, oh my god, my heart is breaking. So I'm really quite hoping that it gets in and I can figure out when it's on the schedule and fit it in some way or another, because the kind of concept of speedrunning Dark Souls is just it's great. I know there's actually a guy in MGSR, I'm trying to think of his name, Dan Flesh. He speedruns Dark Souls as well.
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And watching those runs is just like, what the fuck? It's just like, oh my god, what am I looking at? Because it's just kind of, I have, like, sometimes I run away in Dark Souls, sometimes I run quite fast, but I never speedrun it. I speedrun it away from some bad men occasionally. Sometimes I speedrun into the bad man to pick up something and then speedrun right back out again. But it just seems like a cool run to watch, and I've watched little bits of Dan Flesh here and there, so hopefully it gets in, because it's a game that's not really well known for. It's well known for the wrong reasons, I think. People kind of know it as like the hardest game, one of the really hard games, but it's not really. And hopefully a speedrun can prove that. I don't know.
Yeah. Once upon a time, I actually considered speedrunning Bloodborne myself, and then I just looked at it and like, okay, never mind.
Bloodborne is actually really hard. That I will say that much. I hate Bloodborne.
I really do like the game, and I'm really excited for whenever Bloodborne 2 eventually happens, because I'm pretty sure that was either announced or speculated at really recently.
I can't actually remember. I believe it was more or less just speculation, but it could have been something mentioned about it. I just can't remember. I'll Google that quickly while Tyler talks about his next.
All right, so next one is going to be Crash Twinsanity by Joester98. So Joester98 is mostly known for playing Pac-Man World 1 back at AGDQ 2017, and I had soon followed him shortly after, and once he had grinded out Pac-Man World 1, started playing Crash Twinsanity, and I'd never heard of this game before, so this is a very late Crash game, obviously not developed by the original Crash team, and it was on the PS2, and there's multiple characters that each have their own special little gimmick. Like one can jump higher, and there's a lot of like really cool tricks as far as like going out of bounds and stuff like that. So, and I'm a sucker for the older Crash games because one of my favorite is Wrath of Cortex. So excited to see Crash Twin Sanity. That looks like a very interesting run. Also, great soundtrack. I've watched a couple of the runs, and the music in that game is top notch.
Yeah, Crash games lend themselves really well to speedruns, I've noticed. Like mascot platformers in general. Like, man, you got your Mario, you got your Mega Man, you got your Crash, you got your Spyro. All of them generally tend to do fairly well at the event,
Yeah.
and I mean it's so well known and far spread that these characters that, man, and the games are generally pretty good. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
Twin Sanity, but
It seems good, although according to chat right here, it says that it's one of the more hated ones. I mean, watching it as like from a experience perspective, it looks cool, and to like the music and to like the idea of like multiple characters, and you can play with Cortex himself, and there's different characters, and they have pretty interesting level designs. The only thing is that it's a very dark themed game. Like there's a lot of like dark backgrounds, and it's just feels very dark.
Well, one thing that's kind of funny about speedrunning in general is if there's a series of games, that the games that didn't get the most positive reception are often the most popular speedruns.
Yep.
I mean, even if we look at Metal Gear, for example, like famously MGS2 was not well received at all.
Yeah, very mixed because of the whole character change.
But MGS3 people loved it. But MGS2 has like 10 times as many runs as MGS3, so it's like it's really weird how that kind of stuff works. But for me, the only Crash game that's worth a damn is Crash Bandicoot 2, and after that, I couldn't care less.
Well, Crash Team Racing.
CTR getting that remaster work.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that one. Very excited.
Make a lull. I think it's my go, is it?
No.
Oh yeah, it's Python. No. Sorry, I'm getting all that stuff. Getting all turned around.
So, something I've been watching recently. I've been kind of getting into the Borderlands 2 speedrunning. Just watching, not playing. I don't think I could do half this mess because I'm terrible at aiming. But Borderlands 2, all missions co-op, submitted by Amerlin, Shockwave, and the Fun Cannon. I've been watching these guys over the past few months do attempts on this, and it's just legitimately, it's a fun ride. Like Borderlands 2 in general is a really fun speedrun to watch, but watching it with 3 people as they try and coordinate and still like have time to screw with each other, it's legitimately a fun watch. And I being as Borderlands 2 is one of those really good speedruns, very popular series, very popular run. I have high hopes to actually see this happen.
Yeah, I think Borderlands is one of those cult favorite games. You know, it just kind of took off out of nowhere, and it's just beyond loved. Who makes that again? I can't remember.
Epic, or not Epic, 2K.
I think they publish it, but isn't it like Randy
Gearbox?
Pitchford?
That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't play it because I can't stand that clown and the whole like aliens thing. Just out of principle, I refuse to play the game. But I just remember when it was released. I mean, Jesus, people were going crazy for it. You know, and I'm not too surprised to find out it's a quite popular speedrun because,
like, it's not only is it a fun game to play, but it's also broken as like there's plenty of places where they go out of bounds. There's plenty of places where they just, so there's a skill. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the game, but there's a skill in the game used by Axton the Commando, where if you aim down the sights, it gives you a speed boost. Now they downpatch the game, and on the patch that they play on, as long as they aren't the host, they can actually stack that skill and use it while they aren't aiming down the sights by simply just dropping the weapon they're aiming with, and it stacks, and it legitimately they just zoom off into space. They go so fast. It's wonderful.
God,
So-
speedruns are great.
So we've talked about a few of the runs that we would like to see. Raichu, what is something you are absolutely 100% against?
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Really?
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is... Are we allowed to swear on this podcast? It's a fucking disaster. Sorry. It is. It's probably the worst game ever made, as far as I'm concerned. Because Microsoft bought Rare. If anyone's not aware of that, how you're not aware of that by now, I don't know. But Rare used to be a third-party Nintendo developer, or first-party Nintendo developer, sorry. But then Microsoft bought them, and since then they haven't made a single decent game. And Banjo-Kazooie, if you're not familiar, was basically like a collectathon. But what happened was Microsoft had them make, instead of making Banjo 3, which is what everybody wants, they made Nuts and Bolts, which is like a car game. You make cars? Like, what? What? Who asked for that? I certainly didn't. I never asked for it. I didn't want Banjo cars. Like, what the... So no, I hate that game. And just because of that, that's the only reason I don't want to see it, because I don't like the game. It shouldn't be allowed. Anyone who plays that game deserves to be in prison, I think.
Well, from what I remember seeing, and I don't remember a lot, but they use like preset blueprints to make their builds.
Omega lol.
Past that, I have no idea what goes on in that game.
Like, when I eventually seize control of the world as a whole, anyone with a copy of Banjo-Kazooie is going to prison. That's just the end of it, you know. They will be destroyed, I can assure you. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to move on now before I get too emotional.
Tyler, what's a no from you? What's getting your seal of disapproval?
There's a lot of good no's in my little list that I have here, but I think the one that just jarred me the most whenever I first initially started looking, Final Fantasy X/10-2 HD Remaster, which is 80% co-op with 4 runners. You want to take a wild guess at how long the estimate is for this run? 15 hours? No, it's 9 hours and 45 minutes. I'm all for RPGs, but that's too damn long.
Yeah,
That will take like almost half of a day for one people because it's so long, and it's on PC. So they're going as fast as they can, and this is as fast as that they can do it. I don't hate Final Fantasy. I don't hate RPGs. I hate the really long ones that take up half of a day, where there's a bunch of other smaller good games that can probably get in and not another Final Fantasy game. I mean, there's a lot of Final Fantasy submissions, so I'm not saying don't have a Final Fantasy game of like have some of the other ones that are like, 2 hours. Hell, like this one that's 5 hours, but I mean the one that's 9 hours and 45 minutes, that for me is a little too long.
And imagine if they went overestimate too.
Oh,
That's blazing fast. Well,
I mean, if they went over estimate, that wouldn't be so bad if it's the finale. But at the same time, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I can absolutely like.
That'd be the only way that it would be okay. The finale, yeah, that'd be the only way.
I mean, I don't really care about Final Fantasy one way or the other, but I completely agree with what Tyler is saying. I mean, if you put in a run that's nearly 10 hours long, that's 5 2-hour runs, 10 1-hour runs, or 20 30-minute runs, and so on. I mean, there's so much content, so many other runs you could put in there, but you're taking it up for one game. And I mean, let's be fair, how many people are going to sit there for 9 3/4 hours?
I mean,
watching that run.
You say that, but there are some very, very rabid, well, not rabid, but there's quite a few big fans of Final Fantasy who would actually legitimately sit there and just ogle over their favorite game.
Yeah, Perhaps, but I mean, the majority of people won't sit there 24 for that 9 and 3/4 hours watching it. I mean, if those super fans want to watch that run, go on speedrun.com. You know, that's what I say. I absolutely can agree with what Tyler is saying. You know, nothing against Final Fantasy, just a 9 and 3/4 hour run is just too much. There's so much more you could fit, and I mean, GDQ is only 5 or 6 days long at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you know,
and that takes almost half of a day's worth of content. So unless it's a finale, which I don't think it would be a finale, but
No.
that'd be the only way where I'd be like, okay, if this is the last run, then that's fine.
No, I think the finales are usually like really popular Nintendo
Metroid,
games,
Mario, yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. But
Well,
it's Python's turn now. What
so
community do you want to shit on, Python?
We already got Final Fantasy, Banjo Kazooie. What's
next?
well, if that's the way we want to play it, Pokemon.
Oh, you little fucker!
Fire red, leaf green. I think the estimate on that was like 3 or 4 hours long, and I'm just I'm not as big of a Pokemon fan, and just I don't know. Seeing the no experience run would be one thing, but just watching the game itself again is just not. I'd rather not, personally.
Fair enough.
But they're according to the submission, I have to actually take a look at it again. But there didn't seem to be anything special about it. It was, like I said, just the game itself.
Yeah, for those Pokemon games specifically, because gonna mean I just the like Gen 1 and like Gen 2 games, they have a lot of manipulation for the like RNG, and like you can control certain tiles that like you can like skip battles for. So yeah, those older games aren't as friendly for those manipulations, so they're a bit long because of that.
So the category is any percent glitchless, and the estimate is 2 hours 20. I mean, it's not as bad as it could be, but at the same time, I'd rather watch the no experience run over that, you know.
Yeah, something like that. No EXP run or no XP run or whatever. It's like Roy had just said. It's if it's the same thing you've seen before. We want to say, yeah, like I know GDQ can be a bit recycled, insofar as like the same stuff as last time, and a lot of Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, you know, the big ones. But if it was a choice between a run we've seen years before for the last 5 years in a row or something completely different, then obviously go for something completely different. Unfortunately, we're not on the GDQ games committee, so we don't get that say, but hopefully they're listening. They're probably not.
So we have time to go back through the table one more time. So Raichu, give us another hot take. No.
SpongeBob movie.
SpongeBob movie, the video game. Okay.
Because what a disaster. I don't even know where to start with this one. I mean, I think that might be just it might be just I don't really care for cartoon video games. Like when Plywood and Tyler are running like Rugrats, I'm more than likely doing something else. Because I couldn't care. But like I've seen that SpongeBob speedrun and it's just stupid. Like, for me at least anyway. Obviously this is just what I think. Everyone else here might love SpongeBob movie, the video game. God bless them. But no, for me, I don't know. I don't even have much to say other than fuck off, basically.
I can't exactly say I'm looking forward to much of SpongeBob myself either, but
yeah, I mean it's like I don't want to keep hammering the same drum, but I mean I don't know how long that is, an hour or two. I mean, just pick a better game that's an hour too long, please. You know, Dark Souls, The Witcher 3. I have on like the do that. I'd rather see that. I like The Witcher. Geralt is cool. SpongeBob's a doofus, you know? Sponges can't talk. You know? Forget it. Anyway.
So for mine, you know, my first complaint was one run that was too long. go on the opposite end of the spectrum. A run
Oh,
that's
no.
that's way too short, doesn't have any business even being at a marathon, and that is
Can I make this
Civilization
guy happy?
6. Civilization 6. Religion percent. Estimate of 5 minutes. The setup would probably take twice as long as the speedrun itself. Now,
Get it.
I'm a huge Civilization fan. I love Civ, but the speedruns are kind of trash. Like, it's so like quick, and there's not a whole lot, and you're just grinding RNG seeds, or you set up an RNG seed and you just have really fast clicks, and that's all that the run is. So it doesn't really showcase anything other than just going from point A to point B as fast as you can and trying to however much you can. But to my knowledge, this run is all you have to do is you have to get a religious victory, because there's multiple victories. There's a religious, domination, science, and I believe a diplomatic victory, something like that. But for 5-minute estimate for this run, just no.
No, it's that's just silly, really, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
like you're saying, like you were saying, like if you're gonna double, if your setup time is longer than your run, forget
There's a
about it.
problem. Yeah, there's a problem.
I mean,
Well, I mean, yes, but at the same time, you have like the things, Tetris Grandmaster, which very, 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 very popular to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
But-
Like, there's more stuff to watch, but for like Civilization, it's just very little gameplay. Like, there's not a lot going on. Tetris, there's a lot going engaged into what they're doing, but I feel like for Civilization, you don't get the same kind of effect.
I mean, if you're able to kind of like load in with a specific RNG seed and just kind of go from there, that's pretty by the numbers and kind of boring. But Tetris, I don't think there's a way of doing that with Tetris. Tetris is Tetris. Like it's kind of like you have to be on the ball at all times. It's a bit more. I mean, I wouldn't personally watch a Tetris run. Personally, I'd rather watch grass grow. But if that's what you're into, that's fine. I mean, it's something. Even like a 5-minute run, there's no harm. But a 5-minute run that's fairly basic. It's kind of like.
And now that you mention that, I'm looking at the description, and he specifically says Civilization 6, 20-hour speedrun? Nope, 3 minutes. With the most recent expansion, Civ 6 is now marathon safe, as you can manipulate the seed and guarantee a setup to victory. So yeah, so just as I thought, you can set up a seed to manipulate it, and you can pretty much just have the victory laid out for you. You just have to input whatever you have to, and it's just the same thing every time. And it's so short.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to send a briefcase of money to GDQ to make sure that doesn't get in.
Bribe them.
Come on now, guys.
All right.
So
So
use your head.
another no from me. Man, I have so many good no's. As in, don't ever take this. But I think the one that tops the list on that one is Metroid Other M. Have either of you seen Other M by chance?
No, I have not.
Once.
Completely, just the worst treatment of the Metroid franchise I've ever seen.
Is it on mobile or something, or?
Oh no. It's I believe it's a Wii game. But yeah, you remember how people were kind of upset over Metroid Fusion? Well, Other M took that and ran with it and made people even more upset. So now Fusion isn't even the black sheep of the Metroid franchise. But yeah,
You've managed to piss off gamers twice.
Plus, has a very long run. I'm seeing here it's 2 hours and 25 minutes for any percent.
yeah, no, like Other M, if you were dunking on the cutscenes and such, I could maybe give it a pass, but no. I don't see it working out.
Other M, the game that could literally soft lock your save, says Roy. Beautiful.
But
You have to mail your memory card to Nintendo to get your save fixed.
Do that during GDQ. Hey, when you mail this to Nintendo.
Sorry, I'll be right back. My save's corrupted. I'm serious. Oh God, I can believe it. You know, I can actually believe it.
But that's I think Yeah, that's about all the time we've got to talk about our lists that we would like to not like to see. Let's switch tracks and close out the show by talking about the MGSR description submissions to SGDQ here. So
All right.
we have a number of people actually submitting. We got Blue Metal, Tyler, you submitted, Plywood submitted, Jag, Glenn, Starwin, J Rock, who we weren't sure wasn't actually a part of the community, but it turns out he's actually in the Discord, shockingly. And we've also got Draco Dan who submitted, and I did as well. But it's not about me; it's about everyone else. But yeah, a lot of names, a lot of good submissions. So let's go down the go down the list. Blue Metal has 3 submissions: Near Automata, The Misadventures of Tron Bon, and MML2. So Automata had a fairly strong showing at AGDQ with the E ending. Blue has submitted the A ending at about an hour and a half. How do you guys feel about Automata?
I haven't watched too much of the run, but I believe Blue has the world record for that specific category because he's been grinding the game pretty heavily, so he's very skilled in that game. But I haven't watched too much of it just because I've been meaning to play the game at some point, so I've just been not wanting to watch the speed run. But it's got a pretty big following, and it was well received at the last GDQ from what I heard. So yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Misadventures of Tron Bon, any percent at 40 minutes, and probably what we all know Blue for here at MGSR is Mega Man Legends 2, where he submitted any percent normal at an hour and a half or 125.
Yep.
So,
and that is the 3rd game in the series, and that one is a bit different compared to Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. You are controlling Tron, and you have to do a lot of just quests, tasks, and you have to rob banks and break into houses and dismantle cars and such like that, and even steal farm animals. So there's a lot of stuff to do in that game, and actually that game is highly sought after for the original disc. I believe the disc with the packaging goes for at least triple digit US dollars, like at least 100. So it's a fairly popular game, and it didn't get too many copies made, and it was at the end of the PS1's life cycle, I believe. So yeah, that'll be really exciting to see.
Yeah. And Tyler, you yourself, we kind of mentioned it earlier for this fighting game tournament or fighting game speedrun marathon thing.
Mm-hmm.
Airgites, God bless the ring.
Yes.
You submitted brand new quest, Koji on hard mode, estimated at about an hour.
Yeah, so to sum up what this is, this game was released to the arcades, I believe, in 99, 98, and the original intent of this was to be a 3D fighting game, but it had characters from Final Fantasy in it. So it had Cloud, Tifa, and a bunch of others in there, and that was the main appeal. But once it came out on console, there was some other mini game modes. There was one where you mash and you're on this beach and you just jump over hurdles and stuff, kind of like a track and field event. But there's another one called Brand New Quest, which is a dungeon crawler mode where there's 2 difficulties. There's normal and there's hard, which hard is actually the easiest out of the 2. So and we choose Koji because he is particularly good with physical weapons. And just to put it blatantly simple, the entire run is essentially a huge randomizer. The layouts of the floor are completely random. There are some consistencies, but for the most part, the main goal is to get down to floor 21 as fast as possible and try to find good weapons and be level 1 and not die, essentially. But luckily, there's a save mechanic in there. So there's some marathon safety with that as well. So yeah, it's a very fun run, and people love randomizers, so this entire game is randomizer, so that's why I think this has a pretty decent chance at actually getting in.
Nice. Yeah, Airgites has been showcased at least twice on this channel, and it's an interesting run. It's something silly to watch.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not your typical video game, and it's made by SquareSoft, which is now known as Square Enix, and yeah, so it's a very interesting game.
Days, eh?
Back in the good old days.
So next up, we've got Plywood, who's got I think Plywood's
Got a
got the
lot.
most out of everyone on the MGSR list.
4 submissions. Oh wait, he submitted that? I didn't even know. Oh my. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Holy.
So Plywood, of course, submitted Ghost Babel very hard, aiming for about an hour 24. We all know Plywood has done an incredible amount of work with Ghost Babel over the last few months.
Yeah, he's right on it heavily.
And
not just on very hard either. It's mentioned. I mean, he made a lot of tutorials and things for normal. So
yeah, the wiki is like 90% him for that game. That's all 90% play.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, LCC kind of had some notes and stuff. Plywood kind of elaborated on those, done up that lovely wiki page. I mean, he's now got the record in the 2 main categories, being normal and very hard. You can also run on easy, but nobody does. But who knows? Maybe he'll do that next, just for completion's sake. But obviously, we were talking with Plywood last fortnight. And he had his say on. So if you missed what Plywood said, go back and watch episode 1. It's on YouTube. It was hell to get that big boss run that he got. So it'd be cool to see that at GDQ for sure.
Yeah,
I think it deserves to be there because of all the work he's put in. I know he submitted it last year, for AGDQ, but he submitted normal and AGDQ or GDQ in general a bit weird about Metal Gear. If it's not on the hardest difficulty, they don't want it.
Yeah,
whatever. Pretty much, yeah.
So, past Ghost Babel, right? You actually mentioned it earlier. Plywood also submitted Rugrats Search for Reptar. He's got 2 categories, any percent and all levels.
Omega
18 and 29 minutes, respectively, on the estimate. I can't really say too much about the run. It looks like a fairly standard platformer.
Well, if I can speak about it for just 1 second, because I have
he
has
for it.
Okay, so this game may seem like it's just kids
we
game.
We brought him in for a reason.
But this game actually has surprisingly a lot of tech. Like there's manipulation for RNG, and there is an animation storage bug that we use in the run as well. So we actually jump higher and farther. So the run on paper just doesn't seem that great, but there's actually a lot of tech in it, and especially for the 80% routes, because the main goal is that you have to collect puzzle pieces, and for 80% you have to collect a certain number of Reptar bars. So the routing for grabbing as little bars as possible and completing the least levels as possible is pretty interesting. So there's a lot of tech in this kids game. Surprising.
I knew we brought Tyler in for a reason, dude.
I just had to give that game justice.
All right, well, there you go.
And interesting. I think a sort of a headline run that Plywood's bringing with him. Steel Battalion.
Oh, yes.
Now,
Steel Battalion.
If you've never heard of Steel Battalion, you're not the only one. Because I only heard about it through Plywood's
same here
thingy, this stream. It's crazy, I would say. It's something special.
According to Plywood's description, 33 buttons, 5 switches, 3 pedals, 2 joysticks, all on like this tabletop interface, for lack of a better term, with foot pedals.
And what's actually amusing is it's the only game I've ever heard of where the peripherals the accessories required to play it are more expensive than the game.
Yeah.
I think the controller goes for like $300 or something stupid.
Let me check right now. I'll get that for you.
Sorry, I'm dying.
But yeah, Steel Battalion is probably the weirdest thing to submit to the GDQ, but it's also like one of the ones if it gets in, you don't want to miss it, basically.
I think it'll get in just given its gimmick.
And to round out Plywood submissions, he also submitted Silent Hill because if you didn't know, Plywood is also a big fan of the horror speedrun.
I believe actually
Uh,
Silent Hill was Plywood's first speed game as
I
well.
believe so.
No, or was it Rugrats? It was one of the other.
First one was Silent Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So,
Yeah. And he submitted any percent UFO ending for that. And Silent Hill 1 actually has a fair few submissions for it, so
it'd be nice to see Plywood get in with that, all right? Because I know Punchy is one of the most common Silent Hill one runners, so
yeah.
it'd be nice to get our boy Plywood up there.
So we talked about Jaguar earlier, Jaguar King, that is. He has submitted both MGS1 and MGS4, both on Extreme, MGS1 All Bosses Extreme, MGS4 The Boss Extreme.
I know Jag has been doing a lot of work with MGS1 lately, actually. He's the only other person on the board with a console extreme time apart from Slade. And he's actually currently holds the world record. I think with a 131 or something like that. A very impressive time, no less. No doubt.
Yep. And MGS4 is that, yeah. Roy says it in chat. MGS1 seems like a lock. MGS4, not entirely sure. MGS4 is interesting as a speed run.
Yeah.
In terms of like the games, the MGS games and speedrunning, MGS4 is like the weirdest middle ground case because I've always made the joke that MGS games the biggest time save is skipping cutscenes, and in MGS4 that is absolutely the most true it could possibly be.
Oh, they took some liberties with the cutscenes, let me tell you.
World records, not only for the game itself, for the cutscenes. Cutscenes are probably.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's still the longest sequence of cutscenes in the video games today. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's been measured out that it's around 18 hours of cutscenes, 8 hours of gameplay, give or take. Like from a
regular, from the.
But I mean,
regular.
The speedrun is 2.5 hours, give or take.
Yeah,
but the cutscenes are like 18 hours long. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and go ahead.
They took the piss with this one, let me tell you. It's kind of funny when you look at it because MGS1 received no real flack one way or the other for their cutscenes. MGS2 got murdered for it because there was too many. MGS3 was praised for not having so many. And MGS4 combined them all together to have far too many. You can't, especially with all like the briefing menus and stuff, it's like just ridiculous. It's crazy.
That and the Boss Extreme run is very, very rough in general.
Yes.
And
Jag is doing it on New Game as well, which is dear.
Yeah. But the big issue surrounding that one, as Iridescence brought up, is that Jag is the one who's mainly worried about this, but it's the quote unquote realistic war content, and SGQ, if you don't know, is benefiting Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, however you want to slice it.
Militaire sans. Oh, was it?
Militaire sans frontières.
I was going to say militaire. I was like, no, that's Peace Walker. Damn it.
No, Médecins Sans Frontières. But it's one of those weird cases where no one's really sure if it would even make it. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. But we spoke about it earlier. Metal Glenn Solid submitted also Metal Gear Solid. He's submitted MGS1 PC Extreme any percent,
which is I can play with the same thing a couple of years prior. I think it was last year, I want to say.
I think it was AGDQ 2018.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and he did Twin Snakes, I think, the year in the SGDQ that year. Yeah. So,
yep. Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a coin flip now if whether Jag gets in with all bosses or Glenn gets in with any percent. Maybe they'll both get in because they're entirely different runs altogether. But either way, I'll be excited to see either of those guys running their games.
Yep.
Yeah, we mentioned Glenn has been doing a lot of work with MGS1 lately. He's killing it, frankly.
And we've actually so I mentioned that Plywood may have the most of the most submissions out of everyone in MGSR who did, but nope. Turns out Starwin has
Starwin submits all the games.
Starwin maxed out his submission count at 5, and we'll start with his Metal Gear submission. He submitted MGMSX, NTSC, any percent. So if you guys don't know, Metal Gear 1 and 2, the ports on the MGS3 subsistence disc, they actually run roughly 15% faster on the PAL versions.
Yeah.
To make up for the 50 hertz difference.
So basically, the way that works is so it's 12%. Sorry, Minnie. Oh, 3% off. Like Python said, because PAL games at that point ran at 50 hertz, they boosted Snake's speed to kind of compensate. But instead of boosting him properly and just giving him like equal to the NTSC, they made him way too fast. So you can save like 10 minutes or so over NTSC. It's ridiculous. It's bloody ridiculous. But it's good. And that's actually, funnily enough, what Mini ran at AGDQ this year was the PAL version because of how fast Snake moves.
Yep. And so he submitted NTSC MG1. So that'd be interesting to see if that makes it. And then the rest of these, he's got 2 Silent Hill submissions, Homecoming and Shattered Memories. And if you haven't seen Homecoming, that's a hell of a trip. That's Out of Bounds Central, the most broken Silent Hill game.
well, maybe excluding the HD collection, eh?
Well, true. but Homecoming is more. Homecoming, I don't think you would find most of those things on a casual playthrough, whereas the HD collection, those issues are just there.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually kind of funny because I was briefly considering running Silent Hill, and I was in the Discord for a little while, the Silent Hill Discord, obviously. And I remember somebody asking, should we look into the HD collection because of how broken it is? God knows what you could find in it. Nobody was brave enough. No one was brave enough. So there could be severe untapped potential in that version if they still are too afraid to touch it. But honestly, from what I've heard, I wouldn't blame them for staying far, far away.
And to round out Starwin's submissions, he's also put in Dread Out, which he says is the spiritual successor to Fatal Frame. I don't actually know what Dread Out is.
I've never heard of that personally.
So maybe something there. And he's also submitted Dino Crisis 1.
Ooh.
No weapon at 1 hour and 50. So that'd be an interesting watch. Iridescence says he knows Dread Out, so sure, go ahead, take the floor. What do we got? Hello?
All right.
Oh, okay.
He's
well,
preparing himself.
in the meantime, we can talk about J-Rock. J-Rock.
On a Metal Gear submission, if I recall correctly.
Oh yes. So J-Rock the God has submitted both Resident Evil 2 and Metal Gear Solid 1. No hands.
Yeah. So, and maybe you're sitting there and you're thinking, no hands. So what you use? He smashes his face into a keyboard, or he uses voice commands. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. His gimmick is quite a lot better. I'm not even sure where to begin to explain how J-Rock plays video games.
You can.
You can.
Well, we can.
That's a very good
You'll have
question.
to unmute your mic, Iridescence. You'll have to unmute it in OBS, I mean, you lemon. Well, then obviously they can hear you. Well, then they can hear you.
I don't think so. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, no.
All right.
All right.
Come back
So
to you.
We got a producer and we're still having difficulties.
yeah.
Nice.
So all right, let's so J Rock. If you don't know who J Rock is, he's a Twitch partner, fairly popular guy. Plays games with his feet.
On an arcade stick.
Yeah.
So he covers 2 category extensions all at once.
So that'll be interesting to just to see if that makes it in.
Oh, it'll be something. It'll definitely be something.
Oh.
Can somebody just let Iridescence know if he can be heard?
I cannot hear you. I've listened in. I don't think this is going to work.
So all right. So here's the lowdown from Iridescence. It is a horror game in which you use your phone to see ghosts, and you kill them by taking photos. So that explains the like Fatal Frame, or spiritual successor to Fatal Frame comment. It's an experience.
Iridescence 2019.
So it gets Iridescence's seal of kind of approval, $5 on Steam. So there you go. That's what Dreadout is apparently.
Well, there we go.
Okay.
Alright.
Actually,
I think next up on our list here is Dracodan.
Oh yes.
But I think before we move on from that, we'll mention Python's runs. I know he doesn't want to talk about them. That's fine. So I'll do it. You submitted Portable Ops, new game.
Yep.
And yourself and Minnie have submitted Peace Walker Co-op.
Peace Walker Co-op. Yeah.
First ending co-op.
I was going to submit the New Game Plus, but I really I was having issues getting the route to cement itself in a single run, so I just decided to pass on it for now.
Which is fair. But I think we talked a little bit last week about New Game Plus Peace Walker, so we won't, not New Game Plus, god damn it, co-op Peace Walker, so I won't take too much time to talk about it. I mean, I think we also spoke briefly about Portable Ops, mostly New Game Plus. So if you want to talk about maybe the difference between what we talked about last time with New Game Plus and New Game, pretty much.
Yeah, sure. I can run.
You're probably the best man for that job, in all fairness, you know.
So the difference between New Game and New Game Plus, there's actually a fair amount of difference. So last show I talked about how New Game Plus uses athletes that run faster as opposed to using Snake. Now, New Game, we are using Snake almost exclusively. There's like 6 missions out of 31 that we just don't use him at all. But for the rest of the 25, he's our guy. And unfortunately, he doesn't like have any extra special abilities or anything. He's just really, really good with all of the weapons in the game. He's got, at the very least, a B rank, as opposed to like everyone else who could go potentially down to C or D. And I mean, the run itself is only about 5 minutes slower, as far as I could tell through testing. But there's some interesting things that you have to do in New Game to make sure you make it out without alerts or what have you. It's a lot of movement stuff. Not too many glitches or anything really. But
yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of randomness then with spy reports and stuff. We can't help those things.
of spy reports.
But sure, look, and like you mentioned, you can't cherry pick some athletes, so you're stuck for the night for most part with Snake. You do occasionally use Jonathan or Johnny in some places because he's disguised. He's unless you do something stupid like roll or punch someone, you won't cause any real trouble. For some reason, the scientists know who you are.
Yeah, the disguise mechanic. The disguise mechanic in the game is a little weird.
I think they kind of just copy pasted MGS3's mechanic for disguise as a scientist and just placed that in there. I guess I don't know, but yeah, because the guards don't realize you're not one of them, but the scientists do. Anyway, it'd be nice to see that get in. I think that or Peace Walker, because neither of them have been at GDQ before. And I mean, co-op speedruns of Peace Walker are something special, to say the least. But I think the next person we have on the list is Draco Dan.
Yep, Draco Dan also submitted quite a few runs here. He's got
5.
He's got a total of 5.
I think Draco Dan is one of those guys who speedruns all of the video games, though.
He's got quite the tenure in several communities. So we'll start with the first one on the list, Rocket Knight Adventures. Now he ran he was on the couch for Sparkster, I think, at last SGDQ. And Rocket Knight Adventures is part of that whole series. And it's an interesting game. And he's actually submitted it as a 2P1C with Dagron. So that'll be a fun watch if it gets in. He has also, in fact, submitted Sparkster. So he's got that, pretty much the entire series on there. He has submitted Undertale Genocide. So have either of you paid much attention to that run?
Nope, not at all, because I've wanted to play that game as well, because I'm far behind on a bunch of great video game series, so I've been trying to shield myself from the Undertale speedrunning scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, Genocide run in particular can be a little spooky because you're not actually supposed to kill a bunch of things, and when you kill a bunch of things and clear out an area, this really weird, creepy ambient track starts playing. And I don't know about anyone else, but it spooks the hell out of me. So there we got that. We got Astro Boy Omega Factor, which is something he's been working very, very hard on. He submitted both the birth category and the true ending category at 30 minutes and an hour 20 each. And something we probably all know him best for, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Hero Story, 40 minutes.
That's his main thing.
Yep.
That's like his bread and butter right there is Sonic Adventure 2.
Yep. So, like, we have a number of fantastic submissions from the community itself, on top of, like, some pretty interesting ones outside the community as well.
Yeah, it's looking like the submission list is it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's
A lot of
a lot of
variety.
the usual stuff, but there are some pretty interesting looking things there that hopefully they'll get a fair shout,
Yeah.
And it won't be kind of just filled with the usual suspects, as it is every other year.
Well, SGDQ tends to be kind of the testing ground for some of the weirder or lesser known games.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we just have to wait and see, I suppose,
Yep. So, for those who may be not in the know, the selections and the game list for SGDQ 2019 happens on March 27th. So 11 days from today, we will see who got in.
Ooh.
And the
Is it
schedule,
really 11 days from now? Oh, wow.
11 days, and the schedule will come out on April 14th. Now, what does that mean for us as a show? Well, next week we're going to be avoiding talking about it entirely, so we aren't we aren't actually going to be talking about the games list until the schedule comes out. So I believe it's the show on the 20th that we'll actually talk about the games list and the schedule.
Because that way we can kind of mention not just who got in, but we can also let you know what time they're set for, and you can mark it on your calendar or whatever else, because we don't want to dominate the show with GDQ for the next month or two, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it ends up being a really quiet week and we need something to talk about, we could probably just briefly skim across it. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Somebody in the MGSR community has to do something crazy, so we have something to talk about. So
Well,
get on with it.
Something crazy did actually happen this last
Oh,
week,
no.
but we'll save that. We can save that. We'll talk about it another time.
Tune into episode 3 for the crazy secrets. Okay?
So-
Ambassador, with these secrets, you're really spoiling us.
But yeah, that's more or less about the time we've got. Thank you guys again for joining us as we chat a little bit. Tyler, our guest, you got anything you'd like to say as a bit of a send off?
Be sure to follow the Twitch channel so that way you can see these other great podcast episodes and any other marathon type runs or anything else happening with the channel. Also, don't forget, we actually have a Twitter now, and we have a website. So a lot of resources, a lot of places to come and find us. So wherever you are, if you want to know more about Metal Gear speedruns, whether it be hanging out or whether it be, actually learning them, we have the resources for you. And yeah, can't wait to see the next episode next week.
Not next week.
Thanks for having me.
Fortnite.
Oh,
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Oh.
Bi-weekly.
Is it? Oh, sure. All right. Well, I can't wait to see the next episode 2 weeks from.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me again. Do appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem at all. It was a pleasure having you on. And Roy, our resident tech guy, one of our resident tech guys rather, has linked us the MGSR website, MetalGearSpeedrunners.com. As mentioned, it's a pretty good resource for pretty much all things MGSR. We have our wiki where you can find all the strats for each individual game. You got your leaderboards, links to every single one of them. You have a link to our Discord there. So yeah, be sure to check it out, MetalGearSpeedrunners.com. And yeah, I think we'll send it off here. Thank you again for hanging out and joining in on the chat.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you had fun. I did. Oh, also, because we managed to get to episode 2, I'm going to look into putting the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, all that kind of lovely stuff. So there's more places for you to listen to it. At the minute, previous VODs will be on YouTube and Twitch. Give me like a day and this one will be on YouTube if you want to watch it there. And when and if I manage to get it up on iTunes, because I think iTunes podcast stuff takes like a week or two to approve because Apple, we will mention it in the Discord somewhere. Follow us on all of the things.
All of the things.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, etc. Enjoy Discord.
Yes, absolutely. And the Twitter handle is at MG Speedrunners. I had to think about that for a sec.
We have Tyler sorting us out there.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
All right.
Oh,
so...
actually, I do. Oh,
okay.
MGS1 by Mies will be in a couple of hours. What time is it now? 3.5 hours from now. So make sure you come back around then. It's doing an any % easy run. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So more to come from MGSR today. But for us here on the Disc Swap, we're done. We're done here. Go home.
See ya.
Peace.